All right. Hey, everybody. It is June 6th. I am Stuart Anderson with the Crown Council team, and this is our live stream broadcast. We do this every week. Grateful to be with you. This is our opportunity to connect with our community, reach out to some awesome stories that are happening inside the membership, and to hear from not only resource partners, but team members, doctors, and everybody that makes this Crown Council community great. We're looking forward to a great show. Although last week, which is kind of our pattern, once a month we do an educational webinar style live stream, which is what we did last week with Steve. And if you missed it, that webinar is recorded and in the Crown Council membership library. We talked all about how to get new patients now at no cost. Very highly attended, as well as our webinar we did before, which was our Perio webinar. Two very informational and really good webinars we've done with Steve in the last couple months. So grateful to be with you today. Thankful for all those who've agreed to be on. This is a live show, so hopefully it goes good. Everybody's arriving on time and participating. As you know, live shows can kind of get wacky, which is fine. And hopefully you'll enjoy what we have and enjoy the guests that we have. So just a couple quick housekeeping items. Next week, Greg and Rachel and I and Steve will go to Frisco, Texas. In Frisco, Texas, we will be meeting at the 30th annual event next February. So next week, we're going to be visiting the hotel, getting the lay of the land, and working on some of the details involving the annual event. We're very excited to see the hotel, which is the PGA Omni Hotel in Frisco, Texas. We're really looking forward to sharing what it looks like and specifically dialing in a lot of the things that'll happen at the 30th annual gathering of Crown Council members. Right now, there's about 100 seats, give or take, available still. The meeting will sell out, but right now, still 100 seats available for those first come, first serve to join us at the 30th annual event. So hopefully you'll be with us. We have two speakers who are already booked, our presenters who are going to be at the annual event. We just booked our second yesterday, and we're going to send out a fun little postcard and update the website with our speakers so you can anticipate their messages and be ready to hear what they're going to share. So we're looking forward to that. Smiles for Life is wrapping up. Smiles for Life Whitening is wrapping up for the year, which is crazy. Grateful for all those who have participated and who are getting in those last minute donations and whitenings and clear aligners. We're grateful for Smiles for Life Whitening and all that it affords us to do, from humanitarian trips to donations to children's charities. So thank you to those who are participating in Smiles for Life Whitening. There'll be details about last orders for whitening, when you need to get all your donations in, and when the campaign kind of shuts down. So that is incoming soon. But grateful for all those who continue to serve and run that program. As a side note, the Mortensen Dental Practice group had a patient who donated, I believe it was yesterday or maybe even this morning, that pushed them over the $3 million mark for donations to the Smiles for Life Whitening campaign. So huge kudos to the Mortensen family group and all of the money that they have raised over the last 25 years to the Smiles for Life Whitening campaign. $3 million is an incredible amount of money donated to charity, all from their hard work in whitening in the Smiles for Life campaign. So big kudos to Mortensen. All right, producer DJ has let me know that our first guest is actually already in the waiting room. I will have him bring in Christy Cardwell, and as he's bringing in Christy, I don't want to introduce her until she hears me, because I didn't actually know. Christy, can you hear me? I met Christy at the annual event last year, although she's come to the annual event many times. I didn't know her very well until we were at the annual event in Texas, and we were participating in our bead making, her bead making activity, where we sat and made bracelets and beads together for most of the day. So I'm going to see if I can ask Christy to turn on her camera and mic. Let's see if she's, oh, there's her audio. Christy, can you hear me? Oh, muted again. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Okay. This is her office. So she's coming from the office of Karen Williamson. We've had Karen on the show a couple times because they're a huge participant in the Smiles for Life Whitening campaign and everything that we do with Smiles for Life. They are an incredible leader. This team is absolutely the example of what a Crown Council team should be like. Hey, Christy.
Hey.
Hey, I was just showing your website, kind of like showing people who you guys are and talking a little bit about your practice. I found I have to admit this. We sat at the we beaded bracelets together
That's
for
right.
like an hour,
Multiple.
multiple. And then when I called you to be on the live stream, Tanya and the Tops team recommended that you be on. So
Oh,
I went to your website and I was like, oh, well, I know Christy. Like we sat together and beaded like little kids at the annual event.
yes.
So
Yes, that was fun.
how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Very good. We're grateful to have you. Are you in the middle of a work day?
I am not. I'm off today.
Oh,
So,
look at you
yes.
taking time off to be with us. Thank
Yes.
you. Very kind of you.
My pleasure.
Could you tell us a little bit about just to lay the land, where you work, what your team is like, where the office is located, and how long you've been there?
Yes. So, I've been with Dr. Karen Williamson for 12 years
Okay.
now. Been in dentistry for almost 29. So, yes, so we're located in Rockwall, Texas,
Okay.
near Dallas. And there's three hygienists, two front office, two assistants, and then Dr. Williamson.
Very cool. And could you tell us a little bit about your journey in dentistry, how you chose to follow this path, if you had any mentors or what inspired you to enter this field?
Yes. So I was in college actually pursuing a business degree and decided to change my major. I was thinking about nursing, and a lady that I went to church with was a hygienist, and she said, "Hey, I think you should come and just shadow me for a day at work, see
Hmm.
if you what you think, if you're interested." And then she knew me well growing up, and so yeah, that's kind of how I was introduced to hygiene, and I did not have any dental assisting experience going to hygiene school. I was already in college a couple of years when I transferred to Texas Women's University here in Denton and got my bachelor's there. And yeah, just hit the ground running.
And 29 years, so you used to work at another practice, obviously before Dr. Williamson. Can you talk about that? Your maybe your first job and how you found Dr. Williamson?
Yes. So I had a couple of jobs before I worked for Dr. Williamson, and worked full time in one of them, worked part time in the other, and was just kind of seeking a change. They were a wonderful dentist, and great at what they did, but there wasn't a lot of communication in the office, and I found
Mm.
myself getting frustrated with that. So I was seeking other employment, and I worked for a temporary basis for Dr. Williamson for probably a couple of years, maybe, and then came on as an employee just after a couple of years of that. But just really noticed a difference in the way she led her team
Mm.
and communicated with them, and that was super attractive to me because I wanted that leader that was a strong leader, but also came along the side you, encouraged you, and provided what I needed to uh, develop a better skill set actually in hygiene.
Nice. Well, we look to you. Your team is the model, the
Oh,
example of all Crown Council teams. You guys are the best, and it's so fun to interact with you at the annual event, or even Karen on the email network. She's so encouraging and smart, and I just love being around your team. Steve's always talking about you, and
oh,
uh, everyone modeling what you do. Can you talk about that for just a minute? Uh, I sent you a little question that says, "What are the top three things you've learned over your career that benefit your practice that maybe other Crown Council team members could learn from? Stuff that you've gathered over the years." It doesn't have to be three things, but sometimes top three is easy to
yeah.
categorize. Any advice for other team members?
I think back to the first time, probably Tanya is our TOPS leader, and so wonderful. We all are big Tanya Bailey fans. And something she said one time in one of our meetings was about the law of focus. And she just gave some examples of whatever we focus on expands. And at that time, I was focusing on a lot of negative things about not necessarily our office, but maybe there were some changes being brought in, and I wasn't sure, could I even do those changes? Can I make this successful? So that was one of the things I just remember changing my focus, changing my perspective, and focusing on what I could contribute and what was good. Um, Number two would probably be I am a recovering approval addict. I love the approval of others and a bit of a people pleaser.
Okay.
So I think I've come a long way in that, just knowing that's not my goal, is to get the approval of my patients. Although I love for them to like me, I'm there to treat them and be successful in that. So those are my top two, I would say.
How we talk a lot about not focusing on that being a people pleaser. What are there? Is there anything specific you have done that you do different to kind of combat that idea of yeah.
Yes, I think one thing is just trying to label the emotion, whatever emotion my patient has come in with, whether it be fear, whether it be financially they're stressed out, whatever that is, I'm just trying to acknowledge it. And then it seems that we can move on after that. I'm not constantly making sure that everything is done perfectly so that they don't get upset. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah. And I love what you focus on expands is very true. I use for any biblical, I use the expression where your heart is, that's where your treasure will be also.
Yes.
I'm sorry if there's any biblical listeners here, but that's how I look at it is, whatever my heart is focused on, that thing becomes what I am most focused on and what I think about during the day and what I don't know, spend my time worrying
Okay.
about. Yeah, I love that idea, the focus. Very good. Okay, what three things make you've worked with a lot of team members over the years,
Yes.
maybe good and bad. Ooh. Uh, in your opinion, what three things make an outstanding team member in the practice?
I think just being committed, and not just being committed, but being committed to be there on time, committed to help in any way possible. Also, just the biggest one probably is to follow the leader. Uh,
Okay.
I think for us, Dr. Williamson may be one that's easier to follow, but she is making it so that we follow her and show her respect. It's not an issue to follow her because she leads that well. I think just being someone as an employee that listens maybe more than you speak sometimes.
I like
Sometimes maybe listen more than you complain, even,
that.
which can be hard. Sometimes days don't go like you expect them to go.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think just being able to be fluid and flexible, whatever comes that day. I've had to change my focus on seeing a challenge um, as something that's not an obstacle, but something that is an opportunity. So, yeah.
I love that. Very good. Commitment, being willing to help, following the leader, and listening more than you speak or complain. I like that complaining. Very good. If you were looking back at your own career or even the someone that's starting in your practice, uh, any advice that you would give yourself inside or outside of dentistry, looking back and not necessarily, oh man, I do it different, but things that have really mattered to you that have made a difference in your career?
Yeah, I was thinking on this one hard because there's so much that has happened over the years that I was trying to remember what that felt like to go into the first practice
Mm.
that I worked in. And I think that communication is the biggest key to success with your patients and with your coworkers, but also being willing to admit when you're wrong,
Hmm.
uh, encourage when you see something positive, um, and just gratitude changes a lot of things throughout the day. And so, yeah, that's probably one I need to work on too, gratitude. Um, and showing up, I think, for new people in the dental field, to show up ready, to show up ready to go, ready to work, ready to be flexible, I think is a big one. Yeah,
Nice.
it, it's hard to remember
I,
back that far.
well, I love that. Communication with patients and coworkers, admit when you're wrong, encouraging when you see something good. I love that. Gratitude, and then showing up for new people in the dental field. What did you have in mind when you said I need to be like just express more gratitude or just try to feel
Yes,
more?
I think
Yeah.
verbally, when you see something, throughout the day that's
Hmm.
gone well, and in the morning meeting, in our morning meeting, that is the first thing we do is, "What was the best thing about yesterday?
Nice.
What was, did you hear something positive throughout the day you wanna share with someone else?" I think recognizing that just kinda sets the tone for the day, but throughout the day, that's done a lot in our sterilization area.
Mhm.
It's kinda funny, but we do share funny things there as well, but also, like, "Hey, I heard you talking with the patient. That was you handled that situation really well," or,
Mm,
"You're so good to make the patient comfortable and at ease." Yeah, so I think just taking the time. It doesn't take long just to recognize someone, what they're doing
that's great.
well.
Very good. I don't want you to have to, share any secrets, but we talk about, Crown Council teams get better when they help each other. Is there anything that your practice does where when you look at it, you say, this is why we are special. This is why patients love to come here.
I think, we do build value in the treatment that is done, but also into the person. There's been multiple examples I could give of the ways that Dr. Williamson has let out in that, recognizing patients for various accomplishments that they've had, all the way to just showing care and concern for their family, something they may be struggling with, what they're going through.
Mm.
And I think as a team, we try to make doctor aware of that when she comes in the operatory. Uh, just, Stuart shared with me that his family is going through this right now. Just wanted to let you know.
Mm.
And it's not awkward. I don't mean to say that we share really deep personal things, although our patients do that.
Yeah.
um, yeah, I think she just builds the value of that individual
Nice.
into the appointment, and that we care truly about them as people.
Yeah.
So that might be one thing.
That's
Um,
great. That's good. Yeah, when we interviewed Karen, Dr. Williamson, a while ago for a mentorship podcast, that was something that I really felt that she shared. That was honestly a big part of your practice is what things you guys can do to make patients feel like you care. And I love a team that actually spends time thinking about that idea and building in a system to show that. So good
yeah.
job. Good.
Thanks.
Hey, well, thank you. And is there anything else you'd prepared to say that you want to share?
No, and I would have made a bracelet for you had I known
Oh,
that. Like, I should have. Oh, as if you don't have enough beads probably at your house, right?
well, me and my kids made 500 bracelets that we were like, well, if people want to just come and grab them and take them, they don't want to make them. I was looking at those five because Rachel made 500 too. So there's 1,000 pre-made bracelets.
Yeah.
At that, kind of like halfway through that check-in day, I was like, what are we gonna do with all these bracelets?
I have to say you're really good at it. I was
Yeah, really
impressed.
good. If I go to a Taylor Swift concert, I'll be ready with my
Right.
bracelets. Well, thank you. I appreciate you, Christy. I know that your day off, so thank you for joining us and spending a few
Oh,
times.
yeah. Thank you for having me, Stuart.
You bet. Grateful for you. We'll see you at the next annual event.
Thanks. I'll be there.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. All right, very good. What a great team member. It's so fun to connect. It's kind of easy to ask doctors to be on the live stream with so much to share and how much they're involved in the Crown Council community. So having a team member on is always special, feels like a new connection, and just grateful for Christy and all that team with Dr. Williamson's office. So grateful for her. All right, we've got a resource partner here, Jared from Dental Warranty, and we're actually also going to be joined by TOPS coach Tanya Bailey. So they're both going to join together. I asked Steve to join us to interview or talk about dental warranty he has a much more better understanding of dental warranty than I do, and he actually suggested, well, why don't we bring Tanya on to talk about and interview dental warranty? She'll do a better job than Stuart will. So that's why Tanya's here. Hey, Jared, what's up?
Hey, Stu. How are you?
All good?
Good.
Where are
All
you
good.
where are you broadcasting from? Are you in Texas today?
In Texas. Yep, Dallas, Texas.
Lovely. Great to have you. I don't know if we've ever had you on the live stream before.
We maybe once a while back.
Okay.
But it's good to be back again. Always good to
Yeah.
hang with you guys. Hey,
Great to
Tanya.
be back. And Tanya's here. She's going to ask you the hard questions, so I can't wait to have Tanya. She's a killer when it comes to live questions. We're gonna nuke you. Tanya, you're muted. Did you know that?
No, I'm
Well,
not.
no, she's not. Well, Tanya, where are you today? Is that your home?
I am actually in Forney, Texas today.
How
So
about
suburb
that?
of Dallas. If Jared's at home, he and I are actually not too far apart from each other.
What?
Stone's throw.
Yeah.
You got a
You
really
guys-
good arm.
I don't want to. I really don't love small talk about weather, like because that's so easy. It's like, oh, how's the weather? But I want you to know that the weather in Utah, it's finally like summer. It's amazing.
Getting
Yeah.
there.
We did it.
Well, we're just getting out of here I am small talking about weather.
Yeah.
We're just getting out of Storm Central.
Yeah.
My
Oh,
goodness.
man.
Finally, first day of sunshine in a while.
There was one day where it was snowing here, like in March, and Tanya was on the live stream. She was like, "Oh, it's 85 in Dallas." I was like, "Oh, cool. Sounds great."
Grass is always greener.
Yeah, I know. Hey, well, I don't have any other live guests today, so I have a recording, an interview I did with Dr. Jen Durst that we can play or not play. So we have all the time in the world to do whatever we want, which is awesome. Tanya, maybe I'll ask you to introduce Dental Warranty, what they do, and the company, and then Jared, will you fill in the blanks after Tanya? Okay, go ahead. Let's do it.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. He can clean up anything I
Yeah, clean up.
inaccurate. Gosh. Wow. So I'm trying to remember how long dental warranty's been around because it goes way back, even prior to me being a practice coach. And I was first introduced to dental warranty when it very first started. And at that time I was working at the practice level, and it was a no-brainer, game changer. And experienced the same thing over the years with my clients. And so dental warranty today, and Jared, of course, is the CEO, is the only and number one premier third-party dental warranty that actually allows patients and practices, but allows patients to have peace of mind protection. So it's really a protection plan, and for services for the dollar amount of the procedure, and most procedures are covered. I mean, anything that you can't you can't redo an extraction, so you can't really
Right.
cover an extraction, but Jared could get into the nitty-gritty on that. But over the years, it's just been such an attribute to so many practices and to so many patients. I mean, so many stories. Just had one example in a practice last week of a really big win for a patient. So it's portable. So it goes with the patient wherever they go. So whether they, if they're in a practice, let's say here in Dallas, Texas, and they move really anywhere, they're still going to be covered for the time period that the warranty is in force. There's certainly some, I shouldn't actually talk all about your product. I should let you talk about the product. But the company
You should.
itself, what I love about it is a consistent customer service experience. And unlike, the experiences that we've all had with dental insurance, I know Jared and team are very committed to making the process as easy as possible at the practice level, and certainly for the patients as well. So
Nice.
I don't
Very
know.
good.
I was a little all over the place.
No, that was good.
Beautiful.
Like Jared, if you were in an elevator, this is great. And a dentist was like, "Oh, dental warranty, what is that? What do you say? How do you describe it?"
Yeah, I mean, very similarly to Tana's description. I think we do patient protection plans on dental treatment, and really kind of where we normally take the conversation is there's so much more to it than just when things go wrong, and they do. A lot does happen, outside of the dentist control, right? I mean, as soon as you step outside the door, we don't have any control over what goes on, and our bodies are complex. As well. So sometimes, issues do arise, and, not the dentist's fault, not the patient's fault. Where does that leave you? And it even starts even before then as well, when patients are considering treatment to begin with. So as a way to elevate your service experience and kind of take your treatment and care to the next level, this provides a way to remove all of the unspoken and spoken concerns as you're even considering what it is you need to do for your oral health to begin with. So you got a treatment plan in front of you, we know patients got all kinds of questions firing off, and sometimes they ask them, sometimes they don't, but they're wondering, okay, I'm spending a lot of money investing in my health. What happens if X, Y, and Z, right? And so this provides a way where practices on the front end proactively are answering those questions, and saying, hey, we're gonna do a phenomenal job. Doctor, does amazing work. We predict it to last a really long time. We also provide the 6-year nationwide no fault protection plan, so that, God forbid, you walk out of here and whatever happens, that you can come back in and see us for no charge up to this amount of this original treatment cost, and we'll take care of you and make it better. And if you happen to move away or travel, can't come back to us, it goes with you wherever you go. So it just totally elevates the entire experience end to end, and levels the field for the practicing team, to where you don't have to have those awkward conversations after the fact. It's just easy. Nor are you having to play the bank for things that really are outside of your control.
Yeah. Tanya, when you are working with a team as a coach, and you're like, oh, you don't have dental warranty. I mean, you say no brainer. How is that processing in your mind as you're kind of like incorporating dental warranty into a new practice that you coach? What is your thought process behind, like, hey, you have to have this?
Yeah, that's exactly what goes through my head.
Right, okay.
So gosh, one of the things that we're always helping our practices is a complete, numbers analysis. And, dentistry on the business side is always looking for ways to improve profitability. And, there's a couple different, practice models out there, but certainly with rising cost of supplies, goods, payroll, and declining reimbursements from dental insurance, declining fee schedules, even if they're not actually declining, certainly as inflation rises, if your fee schedule from a contracted dental insurance has stayed the same, you are facing a declining reimbursement. And so dental warranty, has some ability to help boost that inbound revenue by a few percentage points, and we'll take every point we can get. while providing a great, service. So as I do an analysis, I'm always just looking at what, how are you coding? What are you coding? Where's your dental warranty coding? Oh, you don't have dental warranty. Tell me about that. And, at this stage of the game, dental warranty's been around long enough that, there are occasionally practices like, no, I've never heard of that. And then there's practices like, yeah, well, I have heard of that, but I'm not sure I understand it. Is that for
Right.
me? And I would say usually the number one question I get is, well, now wait a minute. I do really good work and I actually warranty my work, so I don't need a warranty.
Yeah.
And so that just opens that conversation to, well, what is the difference between an actual warranty versus a personal guarantee? And, I am honored that I have spent my career working with doctors who offer a personal guarantee. And I've honored that I've worked with phenomenal dentists. And Jared mentioned this, that it's not about the quality of your work. In fact, if your work weren't quality, we wouldn't be talking about dental warranty. So this isn't about covering poor work. It's about providing that protection plan for all the what ifs.
Got it.
All the things that could happen. And there's a whole ton of things that are just, the human body does weird things sometimes. And then of course the mouth is a pretty hostile environment. So
Right.
things go wrong.
So you're saying the pitch isn't, listen, I'm terrible. Clinically, I'm terrible. So we're going to add some warranty.
Yeah.
No.
If I ever suspected the clinical, wasn't there, I wouldn't talk about dental warranty.
Yeah.
I'd be talking about something else.
Yeah.
So it's a given to me if we're looking at, a practice like the practices that we do work with, where, the quality is there, then it's an easy conversation to have. And, we just look at what is the benefit, obviously, to the patient. And my role in coaching a practice is, what's the benefit to the practice? How is this going to help you today, tomorrow, and in the distant future? Because there's also I think a great benefit as, practices transition from bringing in associates to transitioning from ownership to being an associate. There's also a level of protection there for the practice that I think is a value add when you start talking about, and dental warranty
sure.
does, they speak my jam because they run numbers on everything. And so we can say, hey, we have, $2 million worth of dentistry that's covered,
Right.
or whatever that is. And that's, if you're looking at transitioning your practice at any point, that's a pretty big selling point, I think, that hopefully doctors are talking about.
That is cool. Jared, you mentioned a
Big
few
time.
times, as you were giving your elevator speech, that this enhances the patient's experience in the practice. Could you talk about what you meant by that? Like, over the years, how have you seen patients be like, oh man, listen, you're just adding on more to my experience here at the practice. How is this making their experience better versus just adding a fee?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So they know going and just kind of piggybacking on what Tanya was speaking about, when you're going to a doctor, a dentist who delivers exceptional care, their standard of care, clinically speaking, is phenomenal. And you pair with it this unmatched peace of mind. You've got this combination there that's just, and look, everyone's got a different value system in terms of, how much you're going to value that warm blanket, but we know that a lot of patients do. And when you've got the combination of exceptional care and chairside and a good result, and then knowing that walking out that door, wherever life is gonna take you, that you don't have to worry or be concerned going back. It's just simple, it's easy, straightforward. That really, completes a pretty well-rounded package that is a much better experience. And then especially when they do have to exercise, or they've moved or traveled, it's that much easier. They've got the value of that that goes with them. And even if they don't move away or travel, the flexibility of the protection plan. So one example is that if you've got to go see a specialist or something and get something else done, it does take the value of that original treatment and you can put it towards what we call next step treatment of some kind. So let's say you got a, like, easy example, a crown that breaks off of the gum line, and you're looking at an extraction and an implant. The value can be put towards that, as long as it was under the normal terms of the protection plan. So takes a lot of unknowns out of the equation, and that always makes for a much better experience. In fact, we spent a lot of time looking at consumer studies and the parallels here. Really, the number one reason why big brands, really successful brands, have protection plans or extended warranties or what have you, is as much about loyalty as it is about fixing something.
Great point.
Right? Because and when you introduce it at the right time, it's all part of that buying decision in the first place. So not only am I buying into what it is that I need right now, I also know that it comes with a really good, consistent, easy experience for years down the road.
That's a great point. We buy a lot of ski equipment from Patagonia because I know that if it rips or shreds or whatever, I just take it to the store and they'll mend it, like make it. And I'm like, what? This doesn't make any sense, because don't you want me to just buy new Patagonia stuff? And they're like, no, we want you to be loyal to us because we're going to fix it. That's awesome. That's a great point, Jared. I've never thought of that before. Really smart.
I'll keep that in mind for my ski equipment.
Yeah, Patagonia.
There you go.
That's where it's at, Tanya. Don't buy cheap. Don't buy cheap. Tanya, what else? Anything else you can teach us about dental warranty and how it connects with a team, or anything else you can think of? Yeah.
Well, I just, Jared said something early on, and I just want to grab onto that because it's probably one of the most important pieces to this whole thing. He said at the practice level that there's no more awkward conversations. And I'll tell you, we train so much on what we call R factor at Total Patient Service, relationship. And we talk a lot about most, upset comes from a miss on expectations. In other words, patient had expectation A, practice had expectation B, and it was a miss. And so with one of the things that early on was so clear about dental warranty as a product is most practices there's no conversation about what happens after treatment is finished. Not, no ill intent there. There's just no conversation. And so having a patient come back, whatever, a year later, 3 years later, 4 years later, with a failing restoration, and this is where these expectations happen, where a patient says, hey, you did this crown, this filling, this root canal, this implant, whatever it is, and now it's failing, so you get to fix it. And what do you mean I have to pay for it?
Right.
So difference of expectations. So what I love about dental warranty is it clears that up so that whether a patient ends up going forward with a warranty through dental warranty or not, it's clear what the expectations are.
Smart.
And so, when teams present dental warranty included in our Easy Pay financial arrangement system, acceptance is high. Jared could probably be really specific on acceptance, but I know at one point we talked about, consumers, about 65% of consumers want a protection plan offer. I don't know if that's still current, but that's what I remember. And then, there's a percent that don't, but it clears it up. So if we're at that 2-year mark and there's a problem, we go back to, so remember when we talked about your options, and, great news, you've got a warranty protection plan and you've been coming every 6 months like you're supposed to. So this is covered, whether it's recurrent decay or fracture or whatever that is, or you go the other way. So there is no awkward conversations, both from the doctor and the financial coordinator, because financial coordinators don't like those conversations either, any more than doctors do. And so I just think that's a huge piece that really builds that relationship factor, which goes back to what Jared was talking about as far as patient loyalty. The better we communicate, the better we build loyalty. And this is a piece of that.
Nice. Jared, anything to add? Yeah.
No, that was, I'm glad you brought that up. It's super important, and kind of ties back to what I was saying about everyone having a different value system, and whether or not you accept it and choose to buy the protection plan or not. We've had more and more feedback with our practices saying exactly what Tanya just said. It's just whether they do or don't, that clear setting of expectations still makes the whole thing super valuable. So it's and that almost sometimes just as valuable if they don't, because you've really drawn some really clear lines. And then the whole reinforcement of healthy choices for patients to keep up with their continuing care, doing their part, their responsibility, is also really good for the patient, and it tends to be financially healthy for the practice as well, keeping your hygiene schedule full, preventing cancellations, all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah.
No brainer, Tanya.
It's right. I mean, I can remember so vividly this is years ago, but I was having a conversation with one of my dentist clients, and I was kind of a little more focused on the financial benefits. And he said, wait. I heard what I'm hearing you say is that I don't ever have to have that weird conversation about why a patient should be paying me to do something. I said, nope, no more weird conversations. He's like, done.
Done. Well, it is true. I mean, you brought up an interesting example, which is you did this procedure before. Why do I have to pay for it again? That is awkward. I mean, that is a interesting thing to navigate.
Yeah.
So,
and totally different in dentistry than it is in traditional medicine. It's amazing. You know, you tell in medicine, in traditional healthcare, you go through a surgery and something has to be done again. You call it a revision, and you do it again, and the financials start all over, no questions asked. It just is what it is. A totally different dynamic has been created in dentistry. Well intended. You know, you want to do right by your patients. You want to stand behind your work. You want to, and this is how you do it correctly, so that everything's good and fair.
And if I could just make even a little technical add-on to that, because part of what's driven that has been dental insurance.
Yeah.
And so I do think it's just important to point out, and this is just another huge benefit here. It's the equivalent of what I would call like gap insurance when you buy a vehicle. If you wreck out your car and the car is worth less than what you own it, they sell you these gap plans. Well, with contracted dental insurance, so if you're fee for service, this one probably isn't going to necessarily apply as much because you're always able to charge the patient regardless. But when you're contracted and they put in a frequency limitation of, let's just say they put in a 5-year frequency limitation on something, that means at year 3, if it fails, not only are they not going to pay for it to be redone, they're not going to let you do a revision, they're also not going to allow you to charge the patient. So it's not just a matter of that you didn't get insurance coverage and you balance bill the patient. In the most literal sense, you cannot charge the patient. So that's another, gap that dental warranty fills, which for that, patient to get good work redone and for the dentist to actually be able to get reimbursed, because there is, regardless of whether insurance pays it or not, there's still a cost. And so that time, you're losing that lab fee, whatever that is. So I just think that's another big value add there.
Yeah, huge value.
For sure.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen real quick. This is Dental Warranty's resource partner page. Obviously, you can go to Dental Warranty's website, and you were on the live stream. Look at that. There's the recording last time we were together. Look, I had wood behind me, and now it's bricks. It's very changes.
What a nice virtual background.
It's not real. But we talked about this custom page just for Crown Council members. This is the best way to go. Jared, do you want to talk about this little? There's an incentive here for Crown Council members.
Yeah, absolutely. So you'll get savings, a one-time startup fee to get the program going, and we waive a huge chunk of that for Crown Council members as well. And then we also have some different resources you can take advantage of. One of them being our Peace of Mind roadmap, as you just kind of navigate your way through and think about how this fits in the practice, and have some good discussions with your team. It's a good tool to help you step through the different points that you'd want to consider. And we're also here to do a quick demo or discussion with you and answer any of the tough questions. So yeah, I encourage you to learn more and whether it's now or in the future that we work together, there's a lot of really good stuff that we can share to help you think about how to approach this in the practice, and how to do it the right way.
Nice. Okay. You guys, thank you. Tanya, thank you for being with
You're
us. I kind of want you as a co-host every week. So I'm going to propose that. And
I'm
Jared,
glad I made it this time.
Yes. I wasn't going to bring it up. Jared, thank you. Grateful for your years of being a resource partner with the Crown Council. So thanks.
Absolutely. Thankful for you. Thanks, Tanya.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime.
Okay. Thank you both. We'll see you soon.
Alrighty,
Take care.
bye-bye.
Okay. Bye. All right, we've got 15 minutes left. The interview I have with Dr. Jen Durst is 30. So I actually don't want to start it. I think I'm going to save it till next week. It's so good. It's a mentorship series interview I did with her about how she started her practice, what she's learned, advice that she would give to young dentists. And I do want you to hear all of it. So I'm going to save it. We're going to end a little early today, 14 minutes early. So I guess I could talk for 14. Just kidding. I wouldn't do that to you, but grateful for those that joined us today. Thankful especially for Christy, Tanya, and Jared, and the time they spent with us on the live stream. So thanks for joining us. And we'll see you next week. We'll have more new guests, and I'll have that Jen Durst interview for you for next week. So we'll see you then. Thanks, everybody.